Hey, what's up, guys? We have Skylar back. We're gonna do some reaction videos. The first one will be of Donald Trump interviewed by Megyn Kelly. So what's going on, Skylar? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So this is kind of like a test one right now because we're gonna try and use the computer, but it's been kind of the Wi-Fi's been slow. So let's just go into it, okay?
All right, let's start.
Let's get into it.
Doing this.
Well, thank you.
All right, so let's start with the impeachment news. Yesterday, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that the House is going to begin an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. I know you were supportive of it. Some people believe this could do for him with Democrats what the indictments did for you with Republicans, rally support around him. Do you think there's any risk of that?
Look, he's a horrible president. Our country is going to hell. Whether it's impeachment or not impeachment, this man is destroying our country at the border. He's destroying it economically. Inflation's way up now. You see what happened just today. That's up to them if they want to do impeachment or impeachment inquiry. I never had an inquiry. Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy, said, we're going to impeach him. They didn't do inquiries. They went out and they voted because they had the votes. And as usual, everybody votes, for the Democrats. It's a little bit easier. They didn't have Mitt Romneys of the world, and that's really nice because now he's not running today, as you know. He just announced. I think that's great for the Republican Party, for the country, and for Utah. But that's going to be up to them whether or not they want to do it. I have no idea whether they will or not. We do have a lot of other things, but it's quite important, and they did it to me. And had they not done it to me, I think, and nobody officially said this, but I think had they not done it to me, and I'm very popular in the region. They like me and I like them, the Republican Party. Perhaps you wouldn't have it being done to them. And this is going to happen with indictments, too. They have fake indictments, and I think you're going to see that as time goes by. You're going to see Republicans, when they're in power, doing it. And it's a shame when that happens. I'm not in favor of that, but that's what's going to happen because that's human nature.
Would you do it if you became president again? Turn the indictment tables on the Dems?
Well, I would think about it differently. I would have never even thought of doing it, but now you certainly have to think about it differently. It doesn't mean I do it because I think it's so bad for the country. Yesterday, President Putin of Russia used this as an example of what a rotten country we are, that they go after their political opponent. And other countries are doing that, too. Other countries that don't like us are doing that. They're saying it's the biggest story. They love it because it makes us look very bad. It makes us look very bad. And they're fake indictments. There's Fannie Willis and all of these people. These are all fake indictments. And I don't know how much my polls have gone. I was doing well before this, but I don't know what impact it's had on my polls. But we're way up above the Republicans, and we're way up on Biden.
Well, let's talk about the allegations against the Bidens for a minute, because this was something you tried to raise when you ran against Biden in 2020. I watched you at that presidential debate try to raise these very issues that now the House is investigating.
Right.
Why do you think that didn't gain traction?
Well, it's different when it's a Republican doing it and a Democrat. The press is fake news. I think I'm very proud of certain things. I've shown open borders, I've shown crime, I've shown a lot of things, but I've also shown that the press is fake. And if I say something, even if it's true, they don't want to talk about it. It's really what they don't talk about more than what they talk about. They don't talk about things. You know this better than anybody. I brought it up at the debate. Chris Wallace, who tried awfully hard to be his father, but he hasn't got the talent. And what happened, Mike Wallace, who was great, who interviewed me actually in 60 Minutes. He actually gave me probably the only good interview he's ever done, meaning a nice interview. He liked me and I liked him. He was a tough cookie, but he was good and a total pro. But Chris will never be that. But at the debate, he was moderating, and I said, what about the mayor of Russia's wife? He's the mayor of Moscow's wife. Now, you have the mayor of Moscow, him, married to a woman. He passed away, left her a vast fortune from being the mayor, okay? I mean, this is a nice way to make money. And she gave $3.5 million to Biden. And I brought that up during the debate, and Chris Wallace said, this has nothing to do with anyone. Well, now it's the biggest subject. Everyone's talking about it. And now they go back to that debate, and that debate's getting a lot of look-see. And it's a shame that they didn't do it. Chris Wallace should have never done what he did. He tried to stifle it. I mean, literally, I was like debating two people. I was actually debating 1 1/4. I would say Wallace would be 1 and Biden was 1/4. But he was just standing there. But I said, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave him $3.5 million. I want to find out why. What did he do to earn this money?
Do we have anything to say about this one so far?
So what's exactly happening with Biden?
I don't know, man. I'm not prepared. So as you know, like Trump got indicted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just not prepared this time. Trump got indicted like 4 times, so I think they're trying to. I mean, the whole thing's just become like a joke. But Trump got indicted like 4 times, so I think they're trying to impeach Biden, I guess. And I think he's talking about like how, it's become this game of like trying to like go after each other, like in either indict each other or impeach or whatever. And Trump, I guess, didn't really said he didn't really think about playing that game, but now he's thinking about it since they're going after him. They're trying to go after Biden, I guess. But
This is absolutely fucking retarded.
yeah,
This is genuinely like fucking kids on a playground being like, oh, well, they did that to me. I'm gonna do it to them.
yeah, exactly. Let's go ahead and see if they go into it a little bit more.
Tried to raise
And
that.
they wouldn't do
You
that.
tried to raise China. You tried
China.
to raise the laptop.
Yeah.
You got shut down.
Everything.
And they didn't want to discuss it on social media. Got banned on Twitter, the New York Post, all those stories. Let me shift gears and ask you, now that Joe Biden's in the office, there was just a poll out. 77% of Americans say that Joe Biden at age 80 is too old to be president. Are they right?
No, not for the reason of old, because I have many friends that are in their 80s. I have friends, Bernie Marcus, that are in their 90s, and they're sharp as a tack. Just, I mean, I would say just about what they used to be. No, not old. He's incompetent.
I mean, obviously, he's only saying that because he's also old. I don't think he's much younger.
He's of like similar age to Biden.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. He's Trump's. So Trump's 77. So obviously,
Yeah.
and Biden is 80. I didn't realize Biden, our current president, is 80. So yeah, he's obviously it's not the age thing. It's how, and I mean, to a certain extent, he obviously is more intact than Biden is, but he's still old. He's still pushing 80. So
He's not too old. He's incompetent. And age is interesting because some people are very sharp and some people do lose it, but you lose it at 40 and 50 also. But no, he's not too old at all. He's grossly incompetent. You look at some of the great. You look at some of the great world leaders. They were in their 80s, and they did. I mean, Churchill. So many people. They were phenomenal in their 80s. There's a great wisdom if you're not in a position.
There's something about her look too. Do you know if there's a way to like zoom in on the computer? Is like control zoom in?
Maybe control and then like zoom in with your mouse wheel.
Yeah, it's not working. I wanted to zoom in on her face, but yeah, so I don't know, there's something about like her look. There's like a certain type of like conservative look that I don't know, like I just don't really like it. Like it's hard to like describe what it is. It's almost like a prestigious kind of like rich elitist. Doesn't she kind of have like that rich elite? It looks like she's had some work done. I think it looks like she's lost weight, maybe. But Megyn Kelly used to be on Fox News. She got like kicked off Fox News, and now all these shows are on. Like all these shows are on Twitter. I think, like this one, the Tucker Carlson one. They don't even put them. They're just Twitter's making money. Give Trump a dick.
Yeah, one second, giving him a little MAGA hat.
Position like him, but if you go back 25 years, he wasn't the sharpest tack.
Look at that, MAGA.
Ron DeSantis has come out to say that 80-year-olds shouldn't be president. That if you're the nominee, the GOP will lose age as a cudgel to use against Joe Biden. Does he have a fair point?
Well, if he's the nominee, they'll lose because he's a lousy candidate. So I'd rather take on the age issue. I feel I'm physically extremely good. I feel the same way I did 40 years ago. I mean, I feel as good as I've ever felt. Athletically, I'm just about as good as I ever was. I, do certain things. I play
Athletically,
golf.
he's as good as he
I
ever
win
was.
club championships and I beat
And
people
as if
that are 25 years younger than me. I hit the ball just as far as I actually think I hit it a little bit further. But just at this club, there's a big club with a lot of good members, a lot of good players.
You must have good genes, Mr. President, because you eat McDonald's. I know you love chocolate. You love the Diet Coke. How are you doing that? How?
Well, it's really a parental thing, much more so than I believe in the racehorse theory. Fast horses produce fast horses. I mean, it's a little bit about your parents. My parents were very good. They lived to an old age. My father he lived old. He lived into his 90s, well into his 90s, and my mother lived quite a life.
Okay, let's talk policy, immigration in particular. As of late, recently, we've seen several Democratic
drinking the blood of children
speaking out after their cities, including New York, but many others, are overrun by the influx of migrants who have come to the country illegally. They want federal money. They want President Biden to fast track work permits for these people. They want mostly for these migrants to go elsewhere.
Right.
What should be done about this problem?
Well, they're going to have to talk up because no country or city or state is sustainable doing this. You have thousands of people. I was in New York. I saw on Madison Avenue, these magnificent shops, Madison Avenue, Fifth Avenue, the greatest. Madison Avenue, thousands and thousands of people. And they're sitting on the street. They're not even on the sidewalk because there's not enough room on the sidewalk. And you have these beautiful stores that are paying a lot of rent, and they have to sell luxury merchandise, and that goes to the city in form of taxes and all these other things. And they're not going to be able to stay in business. The money that's being lost in these cities, Chicago, Los Angeles. So now you have the massive crime problem, and it's vast in Democrat-run cities. On top of that, you have the migrants or the illegal aliens, many different names, but the illegal aliens pouring in, going into the cities, and it's sad because the mayor of New York, he knows that it's a very horrible thing, and they're afraid to take on the Democrat Party. It's very hard to take on the Democrat Party. Look at RFK Jr. They're not giving him the vote. I mean, they're saying you have to get a vast number of votes in order to even qualify. They're making it impossible for him. They're essentially rigging the election, which they're very good at. So
how do you get them out of there? Like you take over as president, what are you going to do?
Well, you're going to have to move them out. Look, this is not sustainable by this country.
Look at that.
So I think the number will be at the end of the year 15 million people. It's not going to be 3 million, 2 million. I think it's going to be 15 million. But the truth is we have no idea because they're pouring in. Also, they come from prisons. They come from insane asylums. They come from mental institutions. And there's vast numbers of terrorists. I saw just on one of the shows during the weekend that in 2019, that was me, we had no terrorists come in, no terrorists. They knew that they couldn't come in. We were very...
I'm going to be honest. I don't think I was properly listening to him. I think I was just drawing things on him the whole time.
I don't think I have anything to say about it either.
He's just fucking. It's just like a school playground. It's entertaining to watch, but fuck, would I hate to be in the US right now?
Yeah, it sucks. Turn on your video. I'm gonna try doing a video now. I'm just gonna see how it looks. I'm just kind of testing this right now. So okay, the next one is that one was just boring. I had nothing to say about it. So do you know who Anthony Weiner is?
No.
So Anthony Weiner is he was a politician, a Democratic politician, and he goes, so this guy that I've been wanting to cover is Patrick.
What do you think about what RFK's been doing?
Patrick Bet David.
He's been getting a lot of attention on podcasts from a lot of middle-aged white guys who are fascinated with him. He's getting pumped up by Republicans who see him as a Trump.
All right, so yeah, so this one, it's Anthony Weiner on Patrick Bet David. This guy is Patrick Bet David. It's this guy who's gotten popular recently. He went on Joe Rogan, out of nowhere, he's just become popular. He just seems to be a fucking idiot. And just totally not like self-aware, and just doesn't know what he's talking about. Anthony Weiner was like a Democratic politician who I guess got in trouble for like, you know, sexual harassment. Like I think even with like minors a while back. This was, and then at one point I remember hearing like he was playing like footsie with some guy, I think in like the bathroom stall. So he's gotten in trouble with this like weird, like kind of like sexual harassment. I think that was him, but when I looked it up on Wikipedia, I didn't see that. But he definitely
I
got in
mean,
trouble for texting underage, like basically texting like nude images of himself. And now he's
well, I
back.
mean, I feel like those are all kind of prerequisites before you become a politician, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You pretty much have to be a creep. Um, there's one other thing I want to talk with you about. I don't want to cut this part off, but there's one other thing I want to talk with you about. What we were talking about last time about the gay thing with Obama. That I didn't bring up, but we'll watch this first and then we'll go over that. So yeah, so he's asking him about RFK Jr. Patrick Bet David
What
is.
do you think about what RFK's been doing?
He's been getting a lot of attention on podcasts from a lot of middle-aged white guys who are fascinated with him. He's getting pumped up by Republicans who see him as a troublemaker, and he's getting in more and more trouble. The higher, what do they say? The higher the monkey climbs, the more you can see his ass. Every time he turns around, he's getting in deeper and deeper, and whatever mission that he had is ending in failure.
So would you say Silicon Valley is Republican or Democrat? Most of Silicon.
So that question to me doesn't make any sense. Like, is Silicon Valley mostly Republican or Democrat? Because RFK Jr., as far as I know, isn't like involved in Silicon Valley like at all. So I don't really know why I asked that.
Valley money?
Well, I don't know what his money situation is, and it almost doesn't matter. I mean, look, I did a podcast about him and Christie, two people who were apparently running to help the other party that they claim to be trying to run and help.
Yeah.
So, but it's irrelevant. Every campaign season, we have the same thing, and it's particularly acute now that we are kind of bored with who we have, and so the media loves to pump oxygen into people who probably don't deserve it. And Kennedy, it's just, I mean, look, it's Kennedy, the name Kennedy.
You don't like him? You don't like?
I don't know him. I never met him personally. I mean, I think he's selling books. Pretty clear to me. That's all he's doing.
You think he's selling books? Okay.
I mean,
Well, if you use something like the higher
me-
a monkey climbs, the more you see his ass. I'm getting the vibe you're not a fan. Is that
well,
accurate?
I wouldn't. Look, the guy, he's a conspiracy charlatan. I do a show where I try to take people steps back, and I find that Venn diagram where people who are interested in both sides of the aisle, but they want to have a conversation based on substance and based on facts. He's not doing that. He's a conspiracy theorist. I don't hold them in high
I think
regards.
he's been very substantive with a lot of things he's saying about guns, drugs. A lot of the crypto community is an advocate of him.
Which is ironic for a guy who claims to be an eco-warrior environmentalist. He's changed his tune on that. Look, he's doing one common thread you can find: whatever's making him money, whatever's getting him attention is what he's doing. So he was an environmentalist. Now cryptocurrency is where he's deriving some of his money. So suddenly he's not so concerned about the environment. It's clear to me that this attention grab around anti-vaxxing is a money grab. You can go there. They're featuring now on Amazon, especially for the election, a new box set of all of his books or whatever it is. It's a money grab. When I look at why candidates are running, there's usually a couple of things. One, they're running because they really think they're going to win. Another group of people are running because they're running for something else. Like, I think I represent a fairly conservative district by the standards of New York.
I don't know. Do you have anything to say about this? I don't know if I have much to say about this.
I don't know much about the specific person they're talking about, but I do think he brings up a good point where it's obviously that some people just use like politics or any of that stuff as like not as a way to actually make change or get something they think is true out there, but just as a way of like cash grabbing. It's like they just do it for the attention so they can build more money up. Which I think is a fair criticism to make of someone if that's what you think they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. It seems, I think that, it seems kind of like a weird way to do it to me. It seems almost like, I mean, obviously that's probably true, but it's like it just doesn't seem like the greatest way to do it. I guess you're just trying to garner more fame essentially by running for president. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, I guess, yeah, fame or money. I don't know. I guess like if you need money bad enough, then I guess you'll fucking do it. Because I mean, let's be real, nobody wants to be fucking broke, and that's if you can make money. That's a pretty easy way to make some fucking money if you're desperate enough. And fucking who knows? Maybe the dude's like fucking cracked out on cocaine and needs to fund his habit or something. Yeah, I don't know. Something's driving him to do it.
Yeah, the thing is though, is that it's like it costs a lot of money, I know, to run. So it's either like your own money or you get like donations. But yeah, I mean, I heard that Andrew Yang was doing it for that reason. Yeah, Andrew Yang.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. It didn't seem like it. He seemed like he.
I actually heard this from like Ethan and Hassan were kind of saying that he's just kind of like full of shit. Like he wasn't really serious about what he was saying with the whole UBI thing, and like he wasn't really even all that. I don't know. He wasn't really all that serious about running in the first place. But yeah, there's not much here. So let's just move on to the final one, or yeah, for now, which is the Russell Brand one. So as everyone probably knows now, Russell Brand got accused. I think it happened like over 10 years ago, but they're accusing him now of like sexual harassment, rape, that type of thing. And Russell Brand responds, and he does not seem nervous at all. Not like that's like a good, you know, implication of him being guilty because he's a good actor.
Hello there, you
But
awakening
Yeah, I mean,
wonders. Now,
even if
this
I
isn't
got
the
falsely
usual type of
accused of
video
like
we make on
sexual
this channel
assault,
where
I'd
we
still be pretty
critique,
nervous.
attack, and undermine the news in all its
yeah,
corruption.
for
Because
sure.
in this story, I am the news. I've received two extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email. One from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play?
Look at those eyes, those like glaring eyes.
He has very intense. He has a very
We've seen-
intense stare.
Yeah.
Coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of, and we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth, Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Stay free. So yeah, so in terms of him, I don't really know why he in terms of him like trying to do this to gain popularity or make money. I don't really know why he would, but he was like a famous actor before. And I would imagine that he already has a ton of money and a ton of fame. So I don't really know why he's doing this besides he actually does believe it. Not what he's talking about now, but in general, his whole conspiracy theory
Well,
political thing.
well, the thing is, he was like he had fame, but then he did kind of fall off. So I guess like all this stuff was just another way of him like to get more attention. But even regardless of that, um, I don't think obviously anyone's judge to say whether he did or didn't sexually assault anyone, because there's just not enough information really. But I don't know. I guess innocent until proven guilty. But I don't know. It's the thing is with Russell Brand is see it's hard to make judgments of character when you don't actually personally like know someone as an individual and you just know them through content. But he does sort of kind of like seem like he has like a bit of a messiah complex.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people with that kind of complex. I'm not gonna say that sexually that they're like they sexually assault people because of it, but I feel like like you look at people like Charles Manson and all like the different people that have led like cults kind of like that have that messiah complex. And I'm not saying he's like Charles Manson or anything, but people with that kind of messiah complex do seem more at risk of not specifically sexual assault, but just of committing kind of just doing things for the sake of the fact they like want to boost their ego with it. But I don't know. I don't think. I, I'm not accusing him of anything. I'll be surprised if he actually is guilty. To be honest, he doesn't. Because like, let's be honest, he doesn't like. He's not the hottest guy in the world, but he's rich. He has money, and he's not terrible looking. He can get laid. Especially back then, he was doing a lot of drugs and stuff. But that's again maybe because he was doing drugs. Maybe he forgot something he did. Who knows?
Yeah, well, first of all, the yeah, I totally see like the cult leader, and I see what you're saying. You're pretty much right. I could see him being like a cult leader. Obviously, not as crazy as Charles Manson, but um, and he does get off on that. But in terms of like the celebrity thing, where they can just get whoever they want, like I mean, obviously, like everyone kind of like knows that's true or whatever, but it just seems so weird to me that like somebody would be like, "Oh, I really want to go after like Russell Brand or something," like a girl. Like it just seems like they have more integrity to go for a guy like him just
Well,
because he has money. And it's like I really actually do think that they do. And it's like there's certain guys where it's like Leonardo DiCaprio, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, those types who I could see them going for. When there's other celebrities where some people will say, "Oh, they'll go after like any celebrity with money," and it's like, will they though? I mean, I don't know. Like,
I
if they're
think
desperate
there
for money, or
is.
they're like,
I
I don't
think
really
that
know. Sorry, real quick, I don't know too many women who are like actually gold diggers, like in the way that it's just very. I know that like
yeah.
money is important to them, but it's like I don't just see them being like it's complete gold diggers. I think they actually have to like the person. But yeah,
Yeah, well, I think it's more so the fact that like I don't think it's that women mostly would. I think it's just that there are enough women that kind of get off on the idea that someone has not necessarily money, but status or maybe something to do with like a parasocial relationship that they've built, kind of like fulfilling that in a way by like fucking them. And as again, I'm not even saying most women, but like so I feel like there is a large enough amount of women that would do it either for the novelty factor or just to be able to say they've done it, or just because that idea of fucking someone with that status is hot, which as again, not a reflection of women, but I do think there is like a subset of women that are like that. And I think there's enough of them out there, especially if like you're gonna meet those specific types of women if you're a celebrity, because like those types of women are gonna have been more likely to have gotten themselves in those social circles where they're likely to be able to fuck celebrities. So he's likely gonna run into those types of women as well. Especially if he's in like anywhere like LA or anything. Um, But yeah, I don't think it's women as a whole, but I think there's enough women that would for it to be like you can probably find one most places, especially like a bar or like a club.
Yeah. And yeah, and it's like there obviously is the status thing, although I don't think his status is well, it's good amongst like Republican conservatives who are into conspiracy theories, but the status thing I think is for sure true. I think that women do want a guy with like good status or high status. Was that even played out like
I
in
think
high
some
school a
of
lot? Like
them.
what? Well,
I think
some
some of
of
them.
them,
I
but
don't think it's stat. This is the part, and I'm no expert on women, but or men or anyone. But like, I don't think it's necessarily status that women generally necessarily like. I think it is the I think women like someone everyone likes to be able to trust, the person they're like engaging with sexually or romantically. But like I feel like women value that a lot more than like I feel like a guy is more likely to fuck a random woman he finds on the street than a woman is to fuck a random guy she finds on the street. Or at least a guy would be less picky in that case. Like I feel like guys don't care. They're more easily trusting of sexual partners instantly, and also don't tend to get off on the fact that like they feel safe with that specific person as much as I feel women do. Because what I noticed, at least when I was on estrogen, was that the kind of like sexual experience kind of revolved less around like physical attractiveness and was more revolved around the feeling of kind of being with that person and my understanding of who that person is and whether I can trust them and to what degree I can trust them. And so I feel like women just value that trust a lot more. And I feel like if someone's got status, that's just an indicator that you can trust them. Or, if they're competent, if they have money, that may show, depending on your upbringing, that they're competent in that way. If they're competent, then they likely have status. If they have status, then trust like more likely to be trustworthy. Um, and so I think
yeah.
it's kind of that aspect. And obviously there's a million aspects to human sexuality, but I feel like it's unfair to generalize it down to status because I think there's something more deeper and emotional under there. I feel like putting it down to status like makes it seem very shallow.
Well, that's the thing is I don't really necessarily think that putting it down. I think putting down to money or looks is shallow. I don't really necessarily think status, because if you have a good status in the community and people look up to you as a good leader or whatever, like you're really good at what you do, then I feel like that's kind of like a sign that you're a good, trustworthy person that everyone looks up to. Now there is always the bad boys where they have like a bad boy status that girls are into too, but I don't necessarily think it's bad to go after a person for status. I don't personally think that I would ever, like really ever go after a woman for status, but I know that is a thing for for uh, uh for women.
Yeah, I
Um
think it definitely happens. I think it happens with guys differently. I think guys because the problem is with that stuff is that I think it's tied down. I think it may manifest itself as presenting as picking for like status or money or whatever, but I feel like realistically it's probably tied down because those things are kind of socially constructed. I feel like it would make more sense that those things at their core are tied down to a more emotional kind of a fundamental emotional aspect that's probably like gets triggered differently depending on uh just someone's upbringing, the environment they were in, genetics as well. Like I feel like it ties down to something more fundamentally emotional than something like status, money, whatever. And I think however that emotion gets kind of like tickled a bit is probably different like person to person depending on what they've learned to subconsciously, I guess, cause that emotion to develop. So like someone who's
Wonders now.
um grown up with like let's say someone who's grown up with like insults in their family being like a term of endearment to people. You insult your family members and that's like an endearing thing might find a guy with like who's like a bit of a dick seeming in the way he speaks, but it's actually, but like it's just how he talks. They'd find comfort in that more so than a woman who grew up where that was seen as a bad thing, if you get what I'm saying. And so I feel like it's largely like you're socialized into what you're attracted to. And I think that just like manifests itself in these very specific seeming ways. But I think it's really down to what emotions it like inflicts on the person, as opposed to the actual thing itself being what they're attracted to.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go over the comments. When I went over the Russell Brand allegation comments, most of them were like backing him up, which is surprising because I would think that a lot of people would go into the comments and be like, "Fuck you, you're a liar." So let's just read some of the comments. So honestly, dude, it's surprising that it's taken them this long to try and shut you down. For me and many people who follow your content, it's just a sign that you are on the right track. Stay strong, brother. The UK government's letter to Rumble trying to get you income revoked is body sickening. We love you, Russell. This is a hit job. Keep strong, courageous, and free. You are a threat to the deep state. We are with you, Russell. Keep strong. You will only gain more subscribers from all this. So what I'm kind of getting from this, at least amongst his fans, is basically like this is almost like helping him as opposed to hurting him. And I think their point is to hurt him, and they're like, oh no, this is like isn't really happening. This is just like the deep state coming after you because you're speaking the truth, which is like kind of crazy to me. I mean, I would think that there would be like a lot of like just hateful comments in here. It's like it's all the opposite. It's all just, you're an amazing man. The more Russell Brand gets targeted by all news outlets, the more I believe him. I mean,
well, this is the thing, right?
I stand
This
with
is the
Brand.
problem with like the whole. There's kind of this culture around being anti-woke, anti-cancel culture that's kind of like went too far in the other direction, where it's like, before all this cancel culture shit, let's say someone got accused of rape or something. Actually, no, being accused of rape has always been kind of, detrimental to your reputation. Um, but like with cancel culture originally, like cancel culture was a thing, and then people started getting sick of it. Because people were being like prosecuted like socially too kind of like quickly and too intensely without much good reasoning a lot of the time. But then this like anti-cancel culture thing developed. But then it's kind of also caused people to go too far in the other direction, where it's like you're not only well, realistically, the ideal situation is someone gets accused of rape and you stay impartial until a verdict has came to, or you stay impartial until you look at the evidence. Um, that would be the ideal. You stay impartial until you have the evidence. Um, but instead, it feels like we've got people either being like, "You're a fucking rapist because someone accused you of it." Hashtag Me Too. Da, da, da. And then you got people on this other side being like, "Oh well, you've been accused of rape. That just makes you even better. I love you even more now. I love it when people get accused of rape. You're amazing. You got accused of rape." It's just like it's so fucking weird that like someone being accused of rape can somehow help them. Uh, instead of I don't think it should harm them just from an accusation, but to help them, that's intense.
Yeah, it seems like I would at least be a little wary. Like, okay, maybe some of this is true, but like you said, unless you really, even if you know the person, you don't really even know. So it's like it's hard to say one way or the other. There was one other podcast I wanted to go over. I'm gonna try and do it via YouTube. So it's Lex Friedman interviewing Donald Hoffman. Do you know about this guy at all? Donald Hoffman?
Yeah.
You do. Okay, so you already know about him.
Mm-hmm.
The origin of life on Earth to the humans that we are today, that process does not maximize for truth, it maximizes for fitness, as you say. Fitness beats truth. And fitness does not have to be connected to truth, is the claim. And that's where you have an approach towards zero of probability that we have evolved human cognition, human consciousness, whatever it is, the magic that makes our mind work, evolved not for its ability to see the truth of reality, but its ability to survive in the environment.
That's exactly right. So most of us intuitively think that surely the way that evolution will make our senses more fit is to make them tell us more truths, or at least the truths we need to know about objective reality, the truths we need in our niche. That's the standard view, and it was the view I took. I mean, that's sort of what we're taught, or just even assume. It's just sort of like the intelligent assumption that we would all make. But we don't have to just wave our hands. Evolution by natural selection is a mathematically precise theory. John Maynard Smith in the 70s created evolutionary game theory, and we have evolutionary graph theory and even genetic algorithms that we can use to study this. And so we don't have to wave our hands. It's a matter of theorem and proof and or simulation before you get the theorems and proofs. And a couple of graduate students of mine, Justin Mark and Brian Marion, did some wonderful simulations that tipped me off that there was something going on here. And then I went to a mathematician, Chetan Prakash and Manish Singh, and some other friends of mine, Chris Fields. But Chetan was the real mathematician behind all this, and he's proved several theorems that uniformly indicate that, with one exception, which has to do with probability measures, there's no the probability is zero. The reason there's an exception for probability measures, so-called sigma algebras or
Okay, I'm having trouble like controlling this, so I'm just gonna have to like download it.
Yeah.
So if you want, we can download. Or we can just end it here.
Let's download that for the next episode. I will look at that in the next episode. And we'll just end this one off here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna I'll stop it.